Hello, and welcome to day 12 of 100 Days of Soulforce. My name is Joseph Arnold, and today I'm going to be introducing you to your inner audience member. The inner audience member is the heart of playing from the heart. And when you get in touch with your inner audience member, that by itself will bring your performances alive. It's so powerful. And if you ignore your inner audience member, no matter what you do, no matter what fancy techniques you have, no matter what techniques of expression that you have, your performances are just going to lack something, that special something. It's going to feel more effortful in your body. You're not going to connect with the meaning and richness of what you're doing, and your audiences aren't going to connect with that as well. But if you do know what your inner audience member is, if you do know how to connect with your inner audience member, listen to your inner audience member as you play, whatever it is that you're doing, even if you're dancing or, I don't know, even if you're painting, all kinds of arts benefit from this, then it's going to come alive because your inner audience member is what is alive inside you. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go along. So, of course, and today I'm going to give you some live examples. I got my violin here. I'll show you what it sounds like, looks like, feels like, both when we're not connected to the inner audience member and when we are connected. So I'll give you concrete examples so you can really get a sense of what's going on here. Okay, so again, my name is Joseph Arnold. I'm a violinist, Alexander Technique teacher, and founder of the Soulforce Arts Academy. And I'm doing a series of videos, 100 Days of Soulforce, and part of these videos is about playing from the heart. What that really means. What does it really mean? How do you do it? Is it just spontaneous? Is it random? Do only certain people have it? Do you get it by practicing 10 hours a day? No, none of these things are true. All you have to do is know what to pay attention to in yourself as you play. That's it. Because what you pay attention to, how you pay attention, this is invariably reflected in your quality of performance. So for instance, what I hear so often, in my young violin students or elsewhere, is the kind of mechanical playing, kind of robotic. And even if somebody's getting all the notes right, even if their sound is fine or the quality of movement is fine, something is lacking, And almost invariably, what they're paying attention to in that moment is some variation of trying to get the notes right. Got to get it right. So let's just do a little experiment here. Just notice your body for a moment and tell yourself, I got to get it right. Got to get the notes right. Got to get the moves right. Got to get the words right. What happens for you, like in here? Do you get more closed or more open? So that is the sign of your inner audience member, that more closed feeling. So when we have certain thoughts, our inner audience member will be more open or more closed. So maybe I'll talk about the inner audience member because it's paying attention to that as opposed to, let me rephrase that. When you pay attention to just getting it right, when you pay attention to just getting the notes right or whatever it is, this closes. Your emotional connection closes. That's why it sounds robotic. Okay? So instead of having your emotional systems close while you play, you want them to be open, right? So in order to do that, instead of paying attention solely to getting the notes right or getting whatever right, then what you want to do is pay attention to your inner audience member. You want to listen to the guidance and feedback that your inner audience member has. And I keep making this movement here. Your inner audience member is the part of you that generates feelings based on what you're doing, what you hear, what you see. So some examples: you hear music that you really like, or you see a show that you really love. How do you know that you really love it? Is there, like in Terminator, a little screen that pops down and says deet 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 deet, music good, or music bad, right? No, there's a feeling that happens here, right? You feel more open, you feel more closed. You feel more pleasure or less pleasure. You feel more like you want to move or less like you want to move. Or you feel more engaged, more drawn in, or more bored or put off. There are lots of other variations, lots of different kinds of feelings, smaller feelings, big feelings, etc. These are all communications from your inner audience member. Oftentimes it happens in the heart and in the gut, but sometimes it's the whole body. When you get up and you want to move, right? And sometimes it's hard to put words on these feelings. In fact, it often is. So this is why having some terms like I used before, open, close, pleasurable, unpleasurable, helps. So playing from the heart is what happens when you listen to your inner audience member as you play. That's it. So this is so crucial. It's the center of the whole thing. So in order to help you get a better sense of it, I'm going to play a couple examples. And what I want you to do is notice your inner audience member as I'm playing. If it helps you to close your eyes, that's fine. You don't have to. And yeah, just notice these kinds of feelings. All right, so I'm going to play a little gypsy jazz song here. I love playing gypsy jazz. In the Hot Club of Philadelphia, if you're ever in the Philadelphia area, you can come out and see us play. The Hot Club of Philadelphia is a great band. This is one that we do quite often, called Joseph, my namesake. So I'm going to do it two different ways. And just notice your inner audience member. Okay, so that was number one, and then number two. Okay, so what did your inner audience members say? So we obviously can't have an actual dialogue here. This is what I would do in an actual lesson, to ask you feedback, but maybe you noticed a difference. I certainly did. First time I was thinking about getting the notes right, getting the mechanics right. I was really focusing on like moving my fingers, moving my bow, right? Less connection here. And yeah, I felt more closed here, kind of bored. I was playing all the notes right. I played in tune. I had a clear sound, right? None of these things are sufficient for life to come through. The second time, I was listening here. I was listening to how my inner audience member wanted to play the song. This is the second time I've done it, and get this feeling like, oh, I don't want to do it to just the same way, The inner audience member doesn't like to do things the same way over and over. So there's a different feeling that happens in here, like, oh, let's go this way instead. Oh, let's try that thing. And that can come through in your quality of movement, that comes through in your sound, that comes through in your quality of expression, comes through in the quality of connection to your audience. There's a way in which listening to your inner audience member is kind of like this surprise. oh, what feelings are going to come up next? Who knows? It's very spontaneous. And because you're listening in this authentic, spontaneous way, then your audience is also going to be drawn in. When you're more surprised by what you're doing, your audience is going to be more surprised by what you're doing. When you feel more connected to what you're doing, your audience is going to be more connected with what you're doing. When you're more bored with what you're doing, your audience is going to be more bored with what you're doing. So the key to making performances come alive has to do with whether or not you let yourself come alive in your own performance up on stage. If you want your audiences to be moved, you yourself have to let yourself be moved. This is how you do it. You let yourself be moved by listening to your inner audience member and following its guidance. It has two kinds of guidance. One is feelings. This is in response to what you hear, either from somebody else or from yourself. And two is wishes. This is like, oh, where should we go next? It can be just like this little feeling here. Like, oh, let's go this way. All right. Feelings in response to what you hear. Wishes. What should we do next? So I'll just play that again. And let's see what we notice. I'll be playing from the heart. So that time, again, third time I've played it today, my inner audience member wanted something new. So that was the wish that was coming up. Like, oh, let's go a different direction this time. And I added in a couple ornaments, you could hear that, but there's also like a breath, you could hear the breath, but you could feel that in your own inner audience member, the breath that was happening there. Because I was actually following the wishes, the feelings here. Not just like, oh, I have to get it right, or I've always done it this way, so I should do this, or like, ooh, this would be a cool idea, let's try that. Like, all those things are manufactured. Any kind of manufactured thing is static, and so it's going to come out sounding or looking or feeling static. Okay, what we want is dynamic, alive. Okay, so I was listening to the wishes that time, and I was also listening to the feelings of my inner audience member. And I noticed about halfway through, I was like, yeah, I really started to get the groove going. And there's this kind of little light of joy happening in my heart with that pulse. And maybe you felt that too. Now maybe you're like, your foot wanted to start tapping or something like that. Right? So those are the feelings of the inner audience member. Oh, I just realized, like, why do I call this the inner audience member? Okay, so maybe we'll kind of wrap up with that and I'll play a little bit more for you afterwards. Yeah, so yes, the inner audience member, because I wanted to show the connection. I called it this because I want to show the connection between you and your audience. There can be this kind of thought of separation, like I'm over here, the audience is over there, but it's not like that. Like, when you feed off the energy of your audience, right? This is a sign of the interconnectedness. When you have a crummy audience or people aren't listening, it's like there's less energy for you to play and play well, right? So this is a sign of that interconnectedness, the interbeingness. You can watch one of my earlier Soulforce videos, 100 Days of Soulforce videos on interbeing. And so when you make your inner audience member happy, you can rest assured that your inner audience members are happy. Right, so there's that utter interconnectedness, the interbeingness of your inner audience member and your audiences. This is the secret to the whole thing. Okay, some homework. Try performing today. It doesn't have to be anything in particular. It could be a scale, it could be an exercise, it could be a song that you love, and it could be something new. And what you're going to do is listen here. Listen to this part of your body. Just listen. Don't try to make anything happen. Don't try to make anything happen. You don't have to try to have like big feelings. You don't have to like really feel it. No. It's the listening that does it. Listen here. That's all you have to do. Just listen as you play. Yeah, it's almost like each note or each move or each word that you do is like a coin that you're tossing in the wishing well. And you're just seeing what comes up, okay? It's more like receiving the feedback of your inner audience member and then trying to make something happen. Definitely not trying to make something happen. Definitely not trying to manufacture, fabricate expression. That'll never work. Okay, so try it. You could also just listen to some music or watch a show. You just like watch a TV show or something and do this. Notice this here. You could do it in conversation. This is like, that feeling where you really want to say something. That's your inner audience member expressing a wish. Right? So it happens all the time. Your inner audience member is just your emotional guidance system, your inner compass. And the more you listen to it, the better things will get. I promise. Okay. Oh my goodness, checking the time there. We are well over time. Yeah, I'll just play one more time here. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow for, I think, day 13. Oh, and if you didn't see day 11, it's because it's on my blog. So sometimes I'll be putting blog posts up, josepharnold.com/blog, instead of videos, so you can keep an eye out for that. Anyway, I'll see you tomorrow.